r/AskReddit, what common myth can be disproved in seconds? Pulling a fire alarm does not, in fact, activate the sprinkler system in most scenarios. Certainly not indoors, at your school, your home, or any indoor commercial establishment. And you can prove it by pulling the fire alarm. And if any sprinklers do go off, it'll only be the ones in very hot areas, like near a fire. Not all of the sprinklers in the building. You could test that one by holding a lighter up to a single sprinkler for a few seconds, though you might be liable for the water damage. We can only taste certain tastes on specific parts of our tongue. Just put something sour on different parts of your tongue, you will always be able to taste it. I always took it as some parts of your tongue are more sensitive to different flavors. Myth. Check common. Check easily disproved within seconds. Assuming you have something sour on you. Check me God people. He's done it. He's actually answered the question. If you enter a pin backwards at an ATM, it summons the police. My pin is a palindrome. Edit. Everybody in this thread is assuming that my pin is only 4 digits long. My pin is much longer than that. I love my credit union. They let me choose the length of my pin. There are only 99 possible palindrome 4-digit pin numbers, right? I'll crack the code. Edit. 100. It's 8008, isn't it? If your pin's a 4-digit number, I now know your pin is one of only 100 combinations, eliminating literally 99% of all possible combinations. I have never heard this myth. Wait, I've never heard of this one. Who actually thinks that would happen? Why would a backwards pin call the police, but not just any wrong pin? What's so bad about it specifically being backwards? If you write your pin here, it will show in an encrypted format, so everyone else will only be able to see a set of asterisks. This is mine, for example. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Anything by 5-Minute Crafts. Check out how to cook that on YouTube. If you think 5-Minute Crafts is shit, check out Troom Troom. Please don't hold me responsible if you break your back from cringing too hard. Edit. You can already tell this shit's gonna be bad when you see a thumbnail of someone dipping a phone into a bottle of Coca-Cola. Okay, hadn't heard of 5-Minute Crafts, but seriously, a Ret Life vest made from Gatorade bottles, a t-shirt, and some string. That video when she makes a spoon out of a spoon. Jenna Marbles makes some great videos on this. Laughed so hard at her jeans chair one. They used to be a good channel, now it's just clickbaity BS. But hey, at least they aren't as bad as the life hack channels on Instagram. Now YouTube is flooded with 5-minute no-so coronavirus masks that also are impossible to construct. I still don't get how they have over 50 million subscribers. Like they have to have a sub-bot. That account is so stupid. Put toothpaste in a balloon when you travel, or just get a travel-sized toothpaste. People say the water in pools turns red if you pee in. You can prove the opposite within seconds. Even if it did, your total amount of pee is hardly enough to even show up visibly in a pool. And even more importantly, if this invention did exist, no pool owner would ever use it. They'd literally have to drain the pool all the damn time, if that was the case. That would be so expensive. Wrong, my pee is always red. The last time I tested this, the lifeguard spotted me and yelled out, "Hey, I almost fell in." Unless you're sick and pissing blood. The traditional version is that there's an indicator dye you can put in your pool that will turn red if someone pees. They do exist. Technically, litmus is one, but you have to use a ridiculous amount of it. The notion that it exists was a fairly useful social boogeyman in my youth. This is a common urban legend told to children to try to shame them into not peeing in pools. This was such an effective lie with me though. Definitely scared me out of peeing in the pool. That Redditors understand what disproved and in seconds mean. Or myth. You mean that you can't quickly disprove that deoxygenated blood is not blue by using the handy vacuum that everyone has? That you can die by holding your breath. You're only gonna pass out and begin breathing again at it. For everyone trying to get technical, you really don't think you can pass out in seconds from holding your breath. If you hold your breath hard enough with enough pressure, you definitely can. When I was a kid, my mom would tell me that my dad died because he forgot to breathe, like literally just casually forgot to inhale. He apparently died from a car accident and my mom was just messing with me or didn't want to go into details. She was kinda traumatized, I think. I believed it for a pretty long time and even told a lot of other kids about it. Too late to clarify it to them now, they'll all point at it. Guys, don't be mad at my mom, haha. The most damage this has done is that I felt silly after I realized dying by forgetting to breathe was not a thing. In fact, I kinda laughed when I realized, cause it was such a silly thing to believe. I actually evaded the questions a couple of times at first, like she didn't want to talk about it, but I was too persistent, cause kids are tactless, so she probably just said the first thing that came to mind. Personally, I feel like she didn't want to get too emotional in front of her kids, so she answered with something silly. I remember just being glad I could have something to tell people who asked me about my dad. Also, after I grew up, my mom's been pretty open with the important things, including how my dad really died, so all's fine. Brain cells be like, he's experimenting again. Cut the power. How many times I have to tell you this, old man? Mom does not have eyes on the back of her head. You can tell by jumping on her back and pushing up her hair, or just swing a bat at the back of her head. If she ducks, maybe she has eyes. If she doesn't, well, there's your answer. I'm a mum. I do not have actual eyes in the back of my head, no. But there are a lot more reflective surfaces in my house than my children seem to be aware of. Men think about sex every 8 seconds. I hadn't thought about it all morning until just now. Point at it. Man, you guys jerk off a lot, and I thought I was bad. Men think about sex every 8 seconds. Fact, actually just statistical error. Men think about sex twice a day on average. Sigmund Freud, who lives in Vienna and thinks about sex 487,500,000 times per second, is an outlier and should not have been counted. Right? More like every hour, if you ask me. Well, horny 15-year-old me thought about it like every 10 minutes. I made it 10 seconds today. I use Bruce Banner's method. He's always angry, and I'm always thinking about sex. I've heard back quote 11 times a day. https://xkcd.com/1564/. Microwaves heat from the inside out. Get anything microwavable. Put it in for 30 seconds. Note the scalding hot outer layer and still frozen center. False. Microwaves are actually sentient beings and do this to assert their dominance. Is that a myth anyone believes? I've never heard anyone say that. A myth is a female moth. Funny man here. It took me a few seconds to disprove this. It's actually a female myth-ter. That blood is blue before it hits oxygen. This is my most hated myth. There are so many obvious ways to disprove it, most prominently being the fact that one of the purposes of blood is to carry oxygen around the body. How would you disprove this in seconds? Unless your blood enzymes use copper to bind oxygen instead of iron. Then you might be a horseshoe crab or another marine fish. People of Reddit, please infer the intent of the question. It was not what can you Google in seconds, because that is literally everything. What can you standing face to face with someone prove wrong in seconds without the use of Google? At it, or Bing. That if you get jizz in your eye you go blind. Can confirm, this is a myth. If you can prove that in seconds, I feel bad for your sexual partners. People naming conspiracies and not disproving them. The disproof is left as an exercise to the reader. Masturbating makes you blind. That back quote is pretty hard to read. What a stupid myth asterisk adjusts prescription glasses asterisk. It took me 14 seconds to disprove this one. There's been a list of coronavirus tips going around Facebook that says, among other things, that the virus dies at a temperature of about 26 C/ATF and you can kill it in your throat simply by drinking hot drinks. If that were the case, it wouldn't be spreading inside of 37 C/98.6 F human bodies. That the human jaw is capable of biting through your finger as easily as a carrot, but your brain won't let it. This one always got me. Like a raw carrot, a 5-year-old can bend and snap, has the same strength as my bone, ligaments, muscles, and skin. Have you ever felt your own fingers, people? Flat Earth. Lie down on a beach and watch the sunset. Then stand up and watch it again. The only way that's possible is if the horizon changes, based on the angle of your sight, which is only possible if the earth is round. That Mike Tyson can't punch you in the face. Just ask him to, and he won't myth. That Redditors aren't idiots. Proof: read the answers to this post. You should have stipulated the question to be something you can actually prove on your own in seconds, not something a Google search can confirm in seconds. It was clear enough. Redditors as a group are dumb. How do people not get this? Even if it's something completely, utterly stupid like feeding your dog 1/2 a banana daily will make it live forever, you cannot scientifically disprove that until the dog dies. Drinking water will make your toenails fall off instantly. Take a sip. Toenails stay intact. That is an example of disproving in seconds. The moon landings pictures show all shadows in said pictures, produced by the sun's light, as parallel. That is, all shadows have the same exact angle and intensity. Only the sun can make parallel shadows from that distance and radiance for way back in 1969. Edit. Point is, moon pictures cannot be accurately replicated without shadows looking off, back in 1969. We can still carbon date those pictures, probably sitting somewhere in a museum, to prove the photos are aged 51 years and therefore authentic. Nowadays, way easier to falsify using photo editing software, but they'd still be new pictures. Not all shadows, at least not visually. Mythbusters did a great episode on it though, and demonstrated that the shadows that appear to not be parallel are actually caused by bumps and dips in the ground, creating optical illusions. Very nitpicky, I know, but it's technically not accurate to say that the pictures show all the shadows as parallel. The Welsh shag sheep point. I'm Welsh point. Never shagged a sheep point. Myth busted, unlike my nut. Never shagged a sheep point yet. You are a Welsh, not the Welsh. IDK man, a night out in Cardiff, and watching drunk Welsh guys makes me second guess your claim. Maybe you're just the one weird guy in the valley? Maybe you just didn't find the right one yet. Is a claim that all Welsh shag sheep. Consent still counts. I remember this comedian who told a joke about this. It went something like, the English think that the Welsh are the sheep shaggers. The Welsh think that the Australians are the sheep shaggers. The Aussies think the Kiwis are the sheep shaggers. Frankly, it sounds like the sheep are a bunch of sluts. The earth is flat. But, they say that the footage is from satellites orbiting the earth. The state that also says we went to the moon. Why do you believe in footage put out by NASA government scientists? Did you know that if you translate NASA into Hebrew you get insert meaningless word? How can water curve? Lol. Have you ever seen a river that curves? Lol. Water is flat. That's common sense. Dr. Buttfuck, who is a former oncology doctor, don't ask me why it's former lol, says that it's flat. But you only believe in mainstream government scientists because they have a degree from the state. Can someone please shoot me? I've heard too much. If you meet me in a pub, how are you going to prove to me in seconds the earth is flat? That's impossible. Prove it to me in seconds. Oh, I thought so, but you've obviously never argued with a flat earther. No matter how much sense you make, they won't accept it. Tim, look at this glass of water. Water doesn't curve. Me, sticks finger in glass and puts a drop on the table. Yes, it does. Tim, blinks, starts arguing that NASA is a conspiracy and fraud. I'm sure they exist somewhere, but for all the talk on Reddit I've heard of flat earthers, I have never met one or seen one on Reddit. That girls don't fart? I once thought, why didn't I hear a single girl fart? Guessed they do it secretly. Point myth can be disproved within seconds if you hang out with my sister. Masturbation gives you hairy palms. Point looks at palms. Debunked. You can see the Great Wall of China from space. Point just go to Google Maps and choose a satellite view. You can't. That carrots are good for your eyes. Gotta say, took my glasses off to wear carrots and it definitely didn't work. You're doing it wrong. You need to stab the carrots into your eyes. Fun fact, it was British propaganda in WWII because they didn't want Nazis knowing they had radar, so they said they had really good vision from eating carrots. Just ask the question, does it affect very rich people? Works 90% of the time. For instance, there is a cure for cancer, but big pharma companies don't want to give it to us. Are there very rich people that died of cancer? Yes, there are, so there probably isn't a cure. Point for more info, go to this video from Kyrgyzstan, https://yauta.b/hug0rffc_L8. That a duck's quack doesn't echo. Point if you have a duck and are somewhere with an echo. Mythbusters tried this, but the duck didn't like quacking in the no echo booth. It did quack, but not when they had their sensitive machines listening. Point but when they took it out of the booth, it started quaking and it definitely sounded different to the ear from the small amount of quacking it did in the echo-proof booth. So, throw a duck down a well. To be hit in the groin doesn't only hurt men, but also women. Point edit, did seemly do it wrong. What I meant was that it does hurt women when they get hit in the groin as well. Sorry for the bad wording. Either you worded this wrong, or you're completely incorrect. Vaginas get loose from sex. If people with vaginas can birth a child and have things go back to relatively normal size, dicks aren't going to do much of anything to expand it. Same with your hymen. Gets torn during sex. Point it doesn't. It gets stretched. It can restore itself over time. And sometimes it doesn't get stretched at all, and there's literally no difference between the vulva of a woman who has and one who hasn't had sex. That is, of course, if there is a hymen at all, which many women don't, not because they broke it, but because they straight up weren't born with one. Technically they do. As in, they get loose when the owner is aroused. And then unloose again afterwards. In a way, they do, but not the way limp dick bad women's anatomy dipshits think. Point dipshit thinks vaginas get loose from having had sex too many times. Vaginas actually loosen as part of the normal process of arousal. Kinda like how dicks get long and hard. They don't stay that way. Some sick people put drugs in children's bag every Halloween. Point literally no. How can you disprove this in seconds? Punch a shark in the nose, it'll leave you alone. As you slowly move, you'll just tap its nose. Then you lose yours. I always like to hit it in the nose with your fist, and if that doesn't work, punch the gills with your stump. That camels have water in their humps. Thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe for more. See you next time.